Now that the state legislature is back in session, at least 2 state lawmakers are telling me they want an investigation into costly repair work done at 2 of the 4 state prisons that are slated for closure later this year. At one prison in Saratoga County, we're talking about nearly $3 million worth of work on buildings that may be torn down in the not too distant future. And yes, you paid for it. Mount McGregor State Prison is set to close in July. It will look good when it sits there empty. That's because $2.79 million of repair work is being done on the prison as we speak. $2.79 million of your tax dollars being spent on a facility that is soon to be shut down.
I believe it was outrageous. I still believe it's outrageous.
State Senator Kathy Marchone was the person who first spotted the renovation work when she was here on a tour as part of her effort to try to keep this prison open.
I don't believe there is any justification at all. If you're closing a facility, many times when a buyer comes in to purchase an older facility, they just knock it down and start over again. So I believe the $3 million has been a complete waste to the taxpayers of New York.
For $2.79 million, the state says you're getting masonry repairs and window replacements that will leave the buildings weather tight. You may be seeing some of those windows in this 35-year-old file footage. It's a similar situation here at Butler Correctional, not too far from Syracuse. It too is slated for closing, and it too just got brand new windows at a slightly lower price tag of $64,000.
That didn't make any sense to me. It certainly doesn't make sense to the taxpayers of the state.
Butler Correctional is in the district of State Senator Michael Nizzolio.
We believe that expenditure needs to be reviewed, whether or not the prison's to be closed or not. And in fact, should these types of expenditures be made in the first place to any facility that is earmarked for closure.
The prisons are run by the State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision. Officials did not want to go on camera, but said the projects were initiated well before the decision to close Mount McGregor and Butler. The doc's statement reads it was determined that terminating the contract would have cost as much as finishing the project due to the cost of the custom windows, previously purchased materials, bonds, and insurance, and would leave the buildings vulnerable to deterioration. Senator Marchone isn't buying it.
To that, I say, why doesn't the right hand know what the left hand is doing? If this prison was slated to close, do we just make these decisions in a vacuum?
Many lawmakers didn't know this was happening.
It never makes sense to throw good money after bad, and when you start closing facilities, you shouldn't be wasting taxpayer money on refurbishing it.
And when we informed one member of the Assembly Corrections Committee, he vowed to have the committee investigate. Your Corrections Committee will look into this?
I will talk to the chair of the Correctional Committee, as you indicated this to me today, to ensure that we will convene and look into it.
Senator Nizzolio also calling for an investigation. He and other critics say they find it hard to believe that the closure of these 2 prisons hadn't been at least discussed well before the repair work was okayed. Now, the state did scrap about $175,000 worth of repairs at Mount McGregor that were deemed not necessary to make the buildings watertight. The state insists the Mount McGregor and Butler windows, well, they are custom made and can't be used at any other facility.